Hello everybody and welcome back to F1 22 with me, Dan, and the BMW Slothz team. We've got 3 races to go before this season comes to a conclusion, which will be, let's see, in about 1 week's time in Abu Dhabi. And, well, after Mexico's Grand Prix, which saw countless safety cars and order shaken up to the ground, we've got an interesting situation. We are currently closing in on McLaren in the Constructors' Championship. We were only about 70 points or so behind them before Mexico. Post-Mexico, we are now actually in with a chance, as our Red Bull, of winning the Constructors' Championship. The Drivers' Championship at the minute looks to be pretty safe, but you know, I'm not gonna get too ambitious about that just yet. That Constructors' title also looking like something that we could achieve as well now, which is great to see. As going on in the background, failing multiple times to pick up a few points there in practice. Not many upgrades left to go on the car, and we've had some regulation changes, so most of the points will just be going straight towards that. So that is for the power unit and the reliability as well. As you know, if you've watched the rest of the season, we haven't really put anything into reliability at all, especially over the previous 2 seasons as well. But you can see we've pretty much covered a lot of the main ones here for the power unit already. After just, well, I think it's about 2 races since we found out about the changes, and there's not too many pick up in the reliability section. So that's all of that we can afford, and it's on to the Portuguese Grand Prix. Well then, we return to Portugal for the first time since F1 2021, which was a track that we had some interesting races at over time, although it did kind of, as time went on, progress to be something a little bit more like Spain, where it's a good enough circuit, but we tended to struggle around it, and it wasn't overly exciting at the end. But tell you what, if you want to see something more exciting, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell as well, so you know when the season finale is uploaded, which will be next Thursday at 4:30 GMT. And we will get on to the grid order for the Portuguese Grand Prix. This time hoping to be a bit higher up than previously. And yes, we are. P1 just about ahead of our teammate Carlos Sainz, who will join us at the front row, potentially for the first time this season, actually. Behind us, Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, George Russell and Charles Leclerc, Lance Stroll and Pierre Gasly. Then we have Yuki Tsunoda, Kevin Magnussen, Robert Schwartzman and Alex Albon. Behind them, Dan Ticktum and Teo Porcheroni. Joe Guan Yu, Nicholas Latifi. On the penultimate row, we've got Lewis Hamilton with a penalty alongside Oscar Piastri. And finally, it's Sergio Perez and Mick Schumacher. For some reason, Sergio Perez deciding not to set a time in Q1, yet somehow being 1 minute and 16 seconds slower than the pole time. If you can figure out how that works, then you're doing better than I am. Down to the grid we go. It's a great sight seeing us both on the front row as we cut away to the Drivers' Championship. There we are, just 25 points clear of Fernando Alonso, and we'll be hoping, if possible, to score more than him and Norris in this race and take the championship by the time we get to Abu Dhabi. Right, it's race time. So historically here, as I mentioned, things kind of dragged out and became a little bit more boring by the end of having Portugal on the calendar, and hopefully we can change that today as we come down into turn 1. We're already under attack from Lando Norris, but we managed to take the position back from him as well. I just saw Max Verstappen going off-road there in the background and some debris, so I think someone might have taken some damage. Yep, there's a yellow flag actually for the first couple of corners, as we watch our teammate absolutely rocket into the distance. Now a second up the road, which isn't great for us in terms of, well, trying to outperform our teammate, if anything. as we come around sectors 2 now. One of the things I was noticing quite a lot, actually, the further into this season that we went, actually, let's go on board with Verstappen. Hits Mercedes there, I think that is, on the left-hand side. Yeah, it's George Russell. Verstappen gets squeezed, runs wide over the curb, and hits the end plate off of the Mercedes. But yes, one thing I was noticing quite a lot, actually, as we rejoin on lap 5, was that grip seems to be falling away, and I'm not sure if that's because I picked up the final front wing upgrade, and that's just made the car a little bit more oversteery. But sliding around was a bit of an issue. Also, locking up was causing problems as well, which was quite annoying at this circuit. And you can see it's not really helped us out too much because we're currently sat behind Carlos Sainz. Can we make it through after this DRS zone? And Carlos Sainz locks up there, hits the brakes, and we crash into the back of him. Not something malicious there, but it was very suspicious that we got that close to him and had to... Well, we couldn't even take avoided action. We just had to hit him. There wasn't anything else we could do. There's the tyre wear at the minute, quite high. I don't know what it is. Perhaps it's because I did a few extra qualifying laps, but we keep ending up with like really high tyre wear after just a few laps. At least it feels higher. Maybe it's just the circuit. Once again, locking up there from one of the BMWs, this time us. Running wide. We do close up. That was actually Sector 2. The end of Sector 2 is one of the sections we were a lot faster than the other drivers over this weekend, but it just wasn't happening on this occasion. As we come around, sliding still round the final corner, and we'll be peeling off into the pit lane for a set of mediums, and then 10 more laps, 11 more laps to the end, and hopefully finish where we are or better. Looking down the field, well, just in the background, nobody joining us in the pit lane, so clearly there's some issue going on with our tyre wear, or the AI have just got some kind of strategy in mind which I don't know about. So we'll come out, there goes Sergio Perez going through there, and we will join at the back, bar Russell, who I guess came into on lap 1 for a new front wing and must have got in at some point. Oh no, he hasn't, that's just the timing board not updating. We come out then behind Sainz still. We've got Norris on the mini-map there just coming out as well, and Max Verstappen also there too, just behind him. Can we take Carlos Sainz on the DRS straight whilst he's got cold tyres? DRS is open, DRS is deployed. He's not going to be able to hold it into the braking zone too well, but we actually lock up there on entry and caused us to bail from the manoeuvre. So we'll follow him as far as we can, rejoining on later on lap 8. He's tailgating Piastri. We get a nice run out of the final corner. DRS is open, and we'll go to the right-hand side and drag race him up the straight. We've got an Aston Martin ahead to watch out for as we come into turn 1, but we get late on the brakes there. Carlos Sainz is forced to brake early as well, and we get the position away from him. Lando Norris, net P3 at the moment, absolutely miles behind. Unless we're going to keep fighting, he's not going to be a part of this whatsoever. As we come down into the hairpin, close up on Schumacher, rejoining just a little bit later. There's 3 cars still out, one of them being Schumacher. We lock up there into one of the final corners. Dust going everywhere there, and Carlos Sainz has retaken what will become P1 very shortly, and now we've got all that work to do all over again as we come around the final corner. DRS will be available again for us, and we have to try and get past our teammate. We're not close enough on this occasion, still recovering from the lockup and running slightly wide there, so tyres might be getting a little hot. We'll have another chance on this DRS straight now as we come out of that little ascent. Very difficult corner not to just completely lose the rear ending, I find, there. Generates too much lift, I suppose, is the right sort of terminology for it. Anyway, here we go on lap 11 now, coming around with the helicopter cam, which I can't resist using once in a while. Lando Norris, unfortunately, has now closed to within a second, so now there is a three-way fight for the win of this race, and we really do not want a McLaren finishing ahead of either of us in this race, because otherwise we will completely destroy our chances of winning the Constructors' Championship. So restraint must be taken here where possible. And as we come out onto the DRS straight, not the best exit again for me there as we go up that little slope. Round the hairpin, quite wide again, must have been a small lock-up, but not helped us out too much there. So we ride back on board now. We're about to take P2 as Stroll has now come into the pit lane. DRS is open, ERS deployed. We're going to go to the left-hand side, put a wheel on the grass there and try and go around the outside of Sainz, but we haven't got the line, or we do have the line as we come down into the somewhat of a hairpin. Carlos Sainz now fighting back of us on the right-hand side. He gets the position away, squeezes us at this corner, which we struggle so much at, and retakes P1. Good job for him, but he's put us under threat from Lando Norris. We go defensive, into the hairpin we go, and have to let a gap appear there. Norris alongside us now as we continue through sector 2, coming into this double right-hander now. First part done, second part just about hanging on there. We push Norris to the curb and he does surrender the position to us finally. And now we must continue here. This section, a particular, oh god, not too much there, but on previous attempts of going around that corner, we've been a hell of a lot faster than everybody else, but not with that slide, that's for sure. There we go, coming round to the same straight again. Carlos Sainz still a little bit far ahead of us to try and make a move. Car sliding around at the rear as we try and power up the hill. Into the hairpin we go, and it's a lock up for the front left now as Lando Norris is going to make a move up the inside. We hit him there as we actually didn't even expect him to come across, and get the slight warning there from the FIA on that incident. And we'll chase down Lando Norris as much as we can. We've still got 3 laps to go to try and get the move done on him and retake P2. Try and get a second P2 and a P1 1-2 in a row for our team, as again sliding through these corners. I haven't called up the tyre wear at the minute, but I doubt it looks good. Absolutely brilliant line through there. There are the tyre wear stats, actually 25% gone already. I mean, it wouldn't. I don't think it should be causing this much hassle with the sliding. I don't know if that's just because I hadn't played the game for a certain amount of time, or whether it's an upgrade. But it's certainly not been a problem getting up to the back of the McLaren there as we go to the inside for turn 1, learning from earlier on. Go across the curb, Norris trying to stay with us. We give him some room there into this second right-hander, into the braking zone. We go lock up and hit wheels with Norris there, trying to avoid damage if possible. We get another warning from the FIA, which will not be pleasing them too much whatsoever. And into the braking zone we go. Another lock up for the front left as we try going through. Max Verstappen now caught up to the back of us. We've got to stop messing around now and actually try and get this position away from Lando Norris. And we're rejoined on lap 17 after we cross this finish line. Are we going to get the DRS here on the McLaren? Yes, we do. But are we going to be close enough? We certainly close it in quite rapidly here as we ride on board for a second through the right-hander of turn 1, turn 2, and into turn 3 we go. We're going to hug the curve as much as possible. Very aggressive line, trying to go as wide as possible to minimise steering input there. It's not worked out too well, actually. We're dropping back rapidly as we lock up for the millionth time into the hairpin and lose... what's that, nearly a second on Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz, meanwhile, has just absolutely destroyed everybody and has now powered 2.5 seconds up the road. At least from Norris. From everyone else, quite far. And we'll come through here. Here we go, pushing the limit now. Just not really caring about how much sliding we're doing. Can't see how good that corner was taken, but it's helped us close up. We're nearly within half a second, but the DRS zone doesn't finish or doesn't start early enough for this to make a difference. So we'll have to come round the final corner. We've managed to save some face by closing back up to the McLaren, but we're across the line in P3, and that is the end of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Not so climactic, not as much as I would have hoped for, at least for a race at this stage of the season, but we do pick up driver of the day, and at least our teammate has picked up a win for the team. I think overall we did score more points than McLaren, so we have closed in slightly, and we'll have a look at what those standings look like in just a minute or two as we were celebrating there with our teammates, something we didn't get to do last time. Something that did happen last time though, Carlos Sainz's horrific dance moves on the podium as he celebrates alongside us. Although we're looking quite sombre in the background, Lando Norris will of course step forward to spray champagne at his former teammate, and it's time for us to get on to the race results. And here we are with the results. Carlos Sainz, of course, picked up the win ahead of Lando Norris, and then us in third. We did get the fastest lap, though, which is always helpful. Then we had Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly, Charles Leclerc, Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll, and Yuki Tsunoda picks up the final point. Over to the Drivers' Championship now. We've extended our lead very slightly over Fernando Alonso, extending it to 31 points. Then we had Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll. Behind them, we had George Russell, Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen, Alex Albon, Yuki Tsunoda, Dan Ticktum, Oscar Piastri, Robert Schwartzman, Teo Pourchaire, Zhou Guanyu, Mick Schumacher, and Nicholas Latifi. And over in the Constructors' Championship, we are just 21 points behind McLaren now as we come into the penultimate race at Brazil. Behind us, we had Red Bull, Ferrari, Alpine, Mercedes, Ford AlphaTauri, Haas, Williams, Audi, and Aston Martin. That's all for now. We'll catch you, Brazil.